Dear colleagues, I would like to give some personal reflections about Evert Ilyenkov and his role in the Soviet philosophy and in the current discussions in epistemology and cognitive science. Let me suggest two theses. The first one. Evert Ilyenkov was the leader of a new stage in the Soviet philosophy that began at the second half of the 20th century. The central problems which were investigated by a number of interesting philosophers. They were young there. Under his influence were the problems of epistemology, philosophy of science, and philosophy of consciousness. I met him at the beginning of 1954 when I was a student on the philosophical department of Moscow State University. Evert Ilyenkov defended his candidate dissertation in September of 1953, half a year after the death of Stalin. The dissertation was devoted to studying the method of the ascension from the abstract to the concrete as a method of constructing a scientific theory that was used in Capital by Marx. Ilyenkov's ideas were revolutionary, not only for the Soviet philosophy of that time, which interpreted a scientific theory in the spirit of simple empiricism, but also for the then prevalent philosophy of science in the West, which understood a theory as hypothetic deductive construction. Ilyenkov elaborated the conception of a scientific theory as a complex organic system which is developing, has a nucleus, and a lot of different layers. Empirical facts were understood as interpreted in the light of a theory. It was an anticipation of the contemporary understanding of a theory and of a number of current debates in the philosophy of science. Ilyenkov's ideas were very unusual and so were resisted by many philosophers, not only by old official dogmatists, but also by a number of young philosophers who later became his followers. It concerned me in particular. In 1954, Ilyenkov organized a special seminar devoted to the study of Marx's method in Capital. I became his assistant, and soon I became his earnest follower. My second thesis. I would like to draw your attention to the contemporary meaning of the ideas of Ilyenkov about the nature of the ideal. It is known that the cognitive science has a long history, from its arose at the end of the 50s of the last century. Different interpretations of cognition were prevalent at the different stages. It is possible to find influence of Descartes, analytic philosophy, Locke and English sensualism, and associationism, so-called methodological solipsism, and so on. Now the called 4E cognition approach is very popular. The understanding of cognition as embodied, embedded, enacted, and extended. But Ilyenkov not only has anticipated many ideas of this approach in his understanding of the ideal as existing in the forms of collective human activity outside individual minds and individual brains. I think that Ilyenkov's understanding of the ideal can give a help in solution of a number of problems connected with this approach. In this connection, I would like to draw your attention to Ilyenkov's understanding of the ideal as a cultural phenomenon. I think that Ilyenkov's ideas about the ideal can give an interesting interpretation of a number of current discussions in cognitive psychology, and in cultural cognitive neuroscience, in particular the conception of the brain as a bio-artifact. Evert Ilyenkov is a classical figure, but he belongs not only to the past, he is our contemporary. His ideas participate in current discussions, and they are very stimulating and very fruitful. Thank you very much for your attention.